How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about Ideanomics, aka IDEX. I've been getting a lot of requests about this stock. It recently touched its 52-week low on the Friday, so I'm going to put this update video out for you guys. I won't waste any more time. Let's jump into the agenda. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description. But if you're a shareholder, you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch this full entire video. So the first thing we're going to go over is the technical analysis. We're going to be taking a look at the overall price action. We want to know support. We want to know resistance. We want to know what it looks like in the bearish case scenario and as well as in the bullish case scenario. And I'll also give you a swing trade idea, but of course it's not financial advice. And then we're going to go on Fintel, taking a look at the short interest information. The reason this is important because it does have an impact on the way the stock performs. And then we're going to take a look at the order flow distribution. We want to know the buying and the selling behavior on the retail side and as well as on the institutional side. And then when all of that is done, we'll be going into the final thoughts and as well as some more details. So let's get to it. So we're going to do a technical analysis for Ideanomics. Let's see how it performed on Friday. So it ended up closing at $1.17, being up 4.46%. On the low, it tested $1.10, and then on the high, testing $1.19. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 8.756 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 7.626 million shares. So that's part of the reasons why we saw some strength inside of the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is the daily chart, we can see from the RSI down below, it is at 39.97. And then when we take a look at our moving averages here on the chart, we are below the 200-day, the 100-day, the 50-day, and as well as a 21-day EMA. So what we could see clearly, IDEX is in a bear market. And on the Friday, it tested its 52-week low at $1.10. So if I was going to be getting into this play, I'd want to set up a stop loss right here around $1.04. And as far as where we saw the high of the day, it was at $1.19. And we could see when we zoom in a little bit more on this chart, you want to see the stock get above $1.22. If it is able to do this is where we can reclaim the 21-day EMA at $1.27. And then the next level you want to look out for will be right here around $1.44. And then essentially we have this resistance to deal with right at the 50-day that is lined up at $1.50. That would be the kind of move that you'd want to look for at the least. And if that momentum continues, like I said, there's a lot of upside here compared when you take into consideration a risk to reward ratio if you're going to be using a stop loss. So keep an eye on this, do some homework, see if you'd be interested in it. So now let's go into the short interest information. So we're going to take a look at the short interest information for IDEX. So for the dark pool short volume ratio, it is at 53.00%. And then for the dark pool short volume, it is just over 2.63 million shares. Scrolling down further on the page, the short shares availability is at 900,000, updated 8 minutes ago. And then for the short borrow fee rate, it is at 2.95%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 13th, it was at 63.69. Wow. And then for the close of the 14th, which was a Friday that just passed, being at 53.00. So that is a reduction. So what that tells us, the overall market sentiment has been improving. But we also have to keep in mind it still has short squeeze potential due to the fact that the short volume ratio is at 53%. Keep this on your watch list. So now let's go into the order flow distribution. Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution for IDEX. So we could see here on the inflow, it was at 1,491. Then for the outflow, it was 1,664. When we take a look at the breakdown, it was 0 on the large, 917 on the medium, and 573 on the small. When we take a look at the outflow side, we could see on the large, it was 0. On the medium, it was 1,044. And then on the small, it was 620. When we take a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, you can see zeros down the board for the 14th, the 13th, the 12th, and as well as for the 11th. And the last inflow day that it had was on the 10th, being at 248.8 0.8. When we analyze the numbers even further for the small scale orders that tends to represent the retail side, we had more selling than we had buying. And then when we take a look at what happened on the medium, we had more selling than we had buying. And of course, for the large, it was 0, which potentially could represent institutions. Now, when we take a look at the turnover ratio, it was at 1.76%. So this is not too bad for a penny stock like IDEX. And one thing that is very clear, many who are holding on to their positions, they are not selling. And it's part of the reasons why you want to keep a close eye on this play. But like what I was talking about in the short interest section of the video, having high short interest and having that buying volume coming into the play, so that means being a turnaround in the small and mid cap stocks inside of the market, IDEX could benefit from this. So now let's go into the final thoughts and we'll go over some more details as well. So for my final thoughts for Ideanomics, aka IDEX, if you are going to be getting into this play, do know that it is in a bear market. So there could be some more downward pressure on the stock. And that's part of the reasons why if you're looking for a swing trade opportunity, you must have a stop loss in place. You want to minimize your losses and maximize your profits. And this is why I said, as an example, not financial advice, I would have my stop loss around $1.04. As far as the move that you'd want to look out for, of course, reaching the 21-day EMA. I talked about that inside of the technicals. You can look at it even further, but there is that area of resistance to keep an eye on right at that $1.50 level, but getting above it, this stock can really start moving. We also need to see a sentiment change inside of the market. We've been seeing a lot of small and mid-cap stocks just getting slaughtered. So this would have to turn around for IDEX to start moving again. Also, do know a lot of companies who are not bringing in profits are going to get punished. And you'll notice this with a lot of growth stocks overall in general. And this is why IDEX is also impacted by this as well. When we went on Fintel, taking a look at the short interest information, it does have short squeeze potential, but we have to understand we need to have demand inside of the market. We have to have more people who are buying shares. And the only way this is going to happen unless we see a catalyst or there's an overall market shift. And these are one of the things I want to make sure that you're paying attention and you're adding to your homework and as well as your due diligence. You also want to keep an eye on their earnings as well, because earnings will have an impact on the stock. Due to its previous history not having great earnings, this is why it is very important and why the stock could pull back even more. So that's very important for anyone who's also looking at this as a long-term investment. We also did have the CEO that went out there and purchased some shares as well. I think his name is Alf Poor. And when he purchased, I think it was around $1.18. Currently, where the stock is right now is around $1.17. So this is why I'm saying this could be a very interesting opportunity right here, and it's worth giving it an overall look. So if you're looking for a stock to give you some exposure into the EV and clean energy space, then IDEX might be worth a look. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll be talking real soon.